Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at Unit 0, Lesson 5, determining the equation of a line. So we've looked lots at so far in this unit, the slope and the y-intercept. We're going to introduce the idea of a point on the line as well, and how that will help us come up with the equation of the line. But we're going to be given different scenarios here, and we'll have to come up with the equation of the line. You're always going to need two pieces of information. So just a little note I want to write here at the top is that the equation of the line, which is y equals mx plus b, okay, that equation basically has three elements to it. It has our slope, it has our y-intercept, and it has a point. And that point, whenever we write a coordinate or point, is always xy. Okay, so it has a point xy. So it has slope, y-intercept, and it has a point. Those are the three pieces of information within an equation of a line. So you're going to need at least two pieces of those information to find the equation of a line. So you need at least two things to determine the equation. And I'll show you what I mean by that, okay? So for example, determine the equation in y equals mx plus b form of the line that has given you your slope. So we're just going to highlight the information. So it's given us our slope and passing through the given point, right? So we have slope and we have point. So we have two pieces of information. So we can use those two pieces of information to now find the entire equation. So I'm just going to label with our variables. So we have m, and then if we have a point 2, 1, we know that that is our x and our y. So x and y. So remember our equation is y equals mx plus b. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sub into equation for m, x, and y, because that's the information that we have. Okay, so in for y, we're going to put a 1, and in for our m value is 3, and our x value is 2 plus b. Okay, so we've substituted all that in. The next thing we're going to do is we are now going to solve for b. So using our algebra knowledge, we'll solve for b. So we'll first simplify our equation. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus b. And then I'm going to move 6 over to the other side of the equation. So 1 minus 6 is a negative 5. Okay, and then finally, we are going to write the equation with m and b. So whenever we're writing our equation of our line, we always want to leave y and x as y and x because that represents any points that are along that line. But we need to know the slope and we need to know the y-intercept of that line to write the equation of the line. So our slope was up here. Our y-intercept we determined right here. So we can plug those in. So we'll have y equals 3x minus 5. And that's the equation of the line. Okay, we'll try that process again with another example, and then I'll have you guys try an example. So again, we have our m, and again we have an x, and we have a y. So we have y equals mx plus b. I won't write the steps again, we'll plug in. So we're going to sub into the equation for m, x, and y. So my y is 4, m is negative 2, x is negative 1, and we don't have b right now. So we will then use algebra to simplify and solve for b. So negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. And then we'll bring 2 over to the other side of the equation. And then we'll get b. So now we have our slope. We have our y-intercept. When we write our equation, we leave it as y and x, but we plug in the m and we plug in the b. Okay, so y equals negative x plus 2. Pause the video and see if you can determine the equation of that last example following the process. So hopefully you got this equation, y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3. Okay, so that's one situation where we might have to determine the equation of the line, when we're given a slope and we're given a point. We're now going to take a look at how do we determine the equation of a line when we're given 2 points that it passes through. Remember, we need 2 pieces of information, right? And the pieces of information we need are either slope, y-intercept, or point. We need any 2 of those. So in this example now, they've given us 2 points. So we only have really one piece of those required information. We either need slope or we need y-intercept with that. Well, we should hopefully remember that with 2 points, we can determine slope. Okay, so remember, that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to try to figure out our slope. So to find slope, we're going to use the equation that allows us to find the slope with 2 points. So that equation is m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So in that case, it would be useful to label our points with those variables so we know where to substitute into. So we'll call point A point 1, so it'll be x1, y1. And then point B we'll say is point number 2, so we'll have x2 and y2. So we'll substitute those values into the equation. So my y2 is 7, and my y1 is 8. And then x2 is 5, and x1 is 3. So our slope is going to be a negative 1/2, okay? So now we have a slope and we have a point, right? We have a couple points. So we can say that for step 2 in this case, we can now sub in slope and point. So now we're basically back up to where we were at the beginning, right? Where we had a slope and we had a point, and we just follow that procedure. Okay, so my slope is a negative 1/2, and I'm gonna use, doesn't matter which point we use, I'm gonna use point A. The numbers just look a little smaller, but really there's no reason. Okay, so in for y, we substitute 8. My slope is a negative 1/2, and my x value is 3. And we will simplify. So a negative 1/2 times 3 is a negative 3/2. And then we will isolate for b. So this will become 8 plus 3/2 equals b, which if we were to write 8 as a fraction, it would be 16/2. So this would become 19/2 for b. Okay, and then the last step is we're going to write our equation. So we have our m, we have our b. So our equation is going to be y equals a negative 1/2 x plus 19/2. So lots of fractions in that equation. Okay, and then from there, we can hopefully repeat that process for point B there. So I'd like you to try part B to this question. First, try to set up your slope. Pause the video, see if you can find the slope, and then I will reveal the slope first before I move on to reveal the equation, okay? So pause the video and see if you can just determine the slope from part B first. So hopefully you found that you have a slope of 0. So we should be thinking about a slope of 0 means that it's some kind of horizontal line. So just working through the fact that it's a horizontal line, have that in the back of your mind what the equation might look like, but go ahead and then continue on the process of substituting in a slope and a point to determine your equation. Pause the video to do so. So there you go. With a slope of 0, you should get that your y-intercept is 7. And since this is looking like it's a horizontal line, you're going to have the equation y equals 7. Okay, so we're going to take a look at now coming up with the equation of just vertical lines and horizontal lines, remembering what we know about vertical and horizontal lines. So we know a vertical line So part A is talking about a vertical line. A vertical line is x equals some a value, and a horizontal line is y equals a b value. Remembering that a would be like the x part of your coordinate, and b would be the y part of your coordinate. So for part A, it says, is a vertical line and passes through 4, 2. So we could call those A, B. Okay, and I even think it's worthwhile. Hopefully we can just see from this that, okay, x equals A. So then the equation must just be x equals 4, right? We take the 4 and we just sub it in. But I wanted to just draw a rough sketch of this so you can kind of visually see it. So there's my x and y coordinate. I have a vertical line at 4, -2, right? So it's going to pass through that point. So if I draw a vertical line going through that point, you can see that all x values are 4, okay? That's why the equation is x equals 4. We'll do the same thing now with our horizontal line. So if we have a horizontal line and it passes through the point -1, 5, again, this would say is a, b, and the equation of my line will just be y equals 5. I'll take that 5 and substitute it in. But if we wanted to visually see that to make sure we're understanding where that's coming from, we can plot the point -1 and then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we're going to have a horizontal line running there. So you can see that all y values are 5. Okay, if you plotted any other points along that line. All right. Okay, so this is similar to the second example we were looking at. We're determining the equation of the line when we're given 2 points, but now there's an added kind of element to it where we need to then change it to standard form. So here we're still going to find the equation in mx, or y equals mx plus b. So find equation for y equals mx plus b and change to standard form. Okay, so we're going to pause the video. I'm going to get you to do kind of part of it, and then we'll get back together, and then you'll do the second part. So step 1 is we're going to find our slope, and then we're going to take our slope and one of the points and substitute it in to find the equation in y equals mx plus b. So just some things to remember. Our slope is going to be y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So we could label our points here x1, y1, x2, y2. So pause the video, see if you can work through finding your slope and then plugging in the slope and one of the points into the equation to get y equals mx plus b. And then come back to the video and we'll talk about going into standard form from there. So there's your equation of your line. We have y equals 1/3 x plus 2, okay? That's the equation in y equals mx plus b form. But they're going to want us to put it into standard form. So we're going to take this y equals 1/3 x minus 2 and change to standard form. Okay, but we'll always get it in that format first because we know how to do that with at least 2 pieces of information. So now if we need it in standard form, we need to remember that standard form is ax plus by plus c equals 0, right? No fractions. A must be positive. Okay? And A and B can't both be 0. One of them could be 0, but they can't both be 0. So we're going to start rearranging that equation to get it into standard form. So knowing that I want my ax term to be positive, I'm going to leave the 1/3 on that side, and I'm going to move over my y. So I'm going to move my y over in this direction. I'm going to have 1/3 x minus y minus 2 now equals 0. Now I need to clear that fraction, so I need to multiply by our lowest common denominator. Well, we only have a denominator of 3, so we're going to multiply everything by 3. So 1/3 times 3, y times 3, and 2 times 3. Okay, and even 0 times 3, but that's just 0. So 1/3 times 3 is 1. Oh, sorry, there should be an x there. So just 1x. 3 times y is 3y. And 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so you've now converted that y equals mx plus b equation into our standard form of our equation. X minus 3y minus 6. Okay, so the last piece of today is, again, just understanding the different parts of a line. So we saw this back in lesson 2 or 3, I think, in lesson 2, where we talked about whether or not a point falls on a line. So determine if the given point lies on the line. So we are going to determine when we substitute in a point, okay, will the left side of the equation still equal the right side of the equation? So remember, in a point we have x, we have y, and we're going to set up a left side, right side chart. So we're going to say we have the left side of our equation and we have the right side of our equation on this chart. And if we look at our equation, as we're looking at it, the left side of my equation is the y, and the right side is that 5x minus 6. So that's what's going to go in our table, okay? Our left side is y, and our right side is 5x minus 6. And then we'll just substitute in those values for x and y. So for y, I'm substituting in a 1, and for x, I'm also substituting in a 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. So we can say the left side does not equal the right side. So we'll always communicate our reasoning here. So therefore, point A does not lie on the line. Okay, if the left side doesn't equal the right side when we substitute that point in, that means that point is actually not on the line. Okay, pause the video and see if you guys can try part B with that left side, right side t-chart. Okay, so hopefully you can see that point B does lie on the line. When you substitute in that point, the left side equals -5 and the right side equals -5. So they equal each other. So we can say that this point, yes, does satisfy or lie on that line. That's it for your note for today.